Hello, all of our viewers. I have no idea how many of you are there. So this is Mugshots, and today we have somebody from is it Quills and Sofas or
Cool.
Close enough.
I don't.
I want to say yes. Just that's why.
Sorry, I only barely got.
I guess officially I'm affiliated with Quill and Blade.
Okay. All right. So your username is Alto the Winner.
Yep, that is me.
All right. And can you tell us a little bit about Quill and Blade? Because I know nothing about it.
So, I'm actually probably the worst person to ask. I don't actually read much of anything. So Quill and Blade is essentially a husband and wife duo who do stories, and they've created a universe, and apparently a lot of people like it. It seems to be pretty popular.
Okay, I'm back. What did I miss? I had to grab something.
You missed everything. Go away. All right.
Damn it, Enigma.
So now you have your introduction to our guest, and we've got our regulars, Alex _,
hello.
Andrew CK,
That's right. I'm back whether you like it or not.
Enigma the Sick Stalker.
Wait. It started?
Yes, it started.
Oh.
We have Montana de Tacos.
Second night to the bad guy.
And I'm your host, Ravage, and we're going to have some fun today, I'm assuming. And I say assuming because I haven't seen what all of our topics are. Our first topic is from Flutter Priest, and he says, "Eee."
Good topic.
Yeah, great topic.
Should we all E at once?
Oh no.
We can try.
I'm not doing a bat pony. Thing.
I ain't doing a high pitch because I got my door open in my room. He's asleep, but all right. And everybody in 3, 2, 1.
Oh dear God! I think I just heard hell.
Okay, guys, we've started the rapture. Everything's dying.
Welcome to the
world is
shitstorm.
falling apart.
Well, the fact that we've all
Frieza
been
has
left doesn't
destroyed
say
the
good
world.
things.
All right. Well, that's actually kind of a fun topic to start on. What is our
Thanks, Priest.
views and opinions of bat ponies?
My opinion of bat pony is, I actually like them. I mean, we don't really see much of them in the show, but I kind of like some of the lore behind bat ponies. You know, I've seen they eat fruit, obviously. And as I know a bit about bats because I actually stayed on a bat reserve for a little while when I went down to Costa Rica for about a week.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, it was shortly after I graduated from high school, and it was like a nature trip. And Costa Rica has a ton of bats, like over 300 species, and a lot of them feed on fruit. So, so seeing the various types of pictures with bat ponies eating fruits, I kind of like that because it's kind of accurate, and I've honestly found bats to be cool personally. I like them in real life.
Here's the thing, though. When you handle a bat, isn't there a chance of you getting some sort of disease from them?
Not really. I mean, from what I know, you're thinking more along the lines of vampire bats.
As long as you
And-
use protection, you'll be fine.
Yes.
What you're saying is I should roll some condoms under my fingers before handling a bat.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what he's saying.
Basically,
No,
follow
we're
New
saying
York City
you're-
restroom rules.
Enigma, you are guano.
Ugh.
That's what we can do. We
it's
can change
pronounced-
Enigma's name to Guano.
Yes.
No, Ravage. It's pronounced bueno.
Oh,
It's not
No.
quite the same.
No, you are not good enough for that title, Enigma.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're very friendly here. On
Yes, we are extremely friendly.
Oh
Especially
yeah, and just so you know, Enigma is our resident punching bag. So if you ever feel like being really, really mad, he's the person to turn to.
What if I'm more of a kicker? Is that okay?
You can kick him while
We
he's
encourage
down. We have
that.
no problem
Okay.
with
yeah.
As long as I get my OC drawing at the end of this.
Oh, you will. You will. Probably. Who knows?
having his face stomped in.
By yeah.
Ravage, what the hell are you
No.
eating?
Garlic bread.
Sandwich bread?
Garlic bread.
Ah, garlic bread. Trying to stave off the vampires from kissing you, eh?
Nah, he better eat it with some silverware just to be safe.
I see you changed my name also to Guano.
Yes. You can
Who did
thank.
that?
Gee, I don't know, Mr. Intern. You tell me. So, like, as someone who just likes bats in general, I always kind of liked bat ponies, and let's face it, a lot of bat ponies are just cute. So,
Well, and then too. Ooh, here's an idea. Somebody needs to draw, like, you know those little thumb-sized bats? You need to draw like a thumb-sized
yes,
adorable bat pony.
yes. Dude, okay, I've seen tiny little bats before. When I was down in Costa Rica, there was a guy who was just handling a bat in his hands, and it's just like the cutest little thing ever. It's like this little puff of fur, and it's just, oh my god.
Oh, is it the Honduran white bat?
No, it was more of a brown colored. I'm not entirely sure. Can't quite remember what species it was, but like I said, on that reserve, there were over 250 distinct species of bats on that reserve alone.
Didn't Andrew here already draw like a white bat fluff ball?
Yeah, I was looking for that. I remember that.
I could probably upload that real quick. I just need to sort through my files.
You guys are making me want to watch
There you
Ace
go. I
Ventura.
found it. I beat you.
We're making you want to watch what?
Ace Ventura.
Oh god.
So is he the size of one of those bats, or is that leaf just really big, Andrew?
Yes.
Sure.
Why not both?
Yeah, exactly.
It's up to interpretation.
Like all good art is.
Yeah.
It looks like it's covered its body in protective styrofoam.
God.
Well, I think it's really cute.
Yee.
Thank you.
And some of my favorite OCs have also been bat ponies. One in particular would be Flam's OC. So,
What about High Ground?
She's too old. Her tits are sagging.
yeah, exactly. But that is honestly, I think, an interesting lore in that how they're all Scottish and they live in caves. That's
Oh, I just remembered a story.
yes.
Look up a story on FimFiction called "The Sun Is Not Good."
The sun is not good.
Yes, it was written by the same guy who did Project Horizons, and it is really dark in like the best possible way. It's like, I need more. You know, it gives a whole reason behind why Luna was banished and the whole story behind her banishment and everything in a completely different light and in a very, very, very dark, very gritty light. And then Twilight's trying to come to terms with this because she's been very sheltered by Celestia, and it is so good.
Wow, man! Wow, he
We get it, Rad.
he hasn't updated this in a long time.
I know, it's kind of sad But even where he left it off, I think it's still worth reading.
We get it, Rev. You would suck Somber's dick. I would too, but I wouldn't brag about it.
Oh god, is this gonna turn into Fallout Equestria cast again?
I hope not.
I could easily make it in that direction, but
I mean, come on, guys. We already spent 40 minutes last time talking about ball hair. We can't afford to just stick on one topic for over half an hour.
Always
again.
asking the important questions.
Hey, that was Pencil's idea.
Hey, at least I can braid mine. What's your excuse?
Yeah.
by the way, also I like how you're making my character look like he's yelling, "God!"
Oh, I have a plan. I don't know if it's gonna work well, but I have a plan.
Oh shit.
You're gonna put his head in the crusher like they did to Terminator?
There's options.
What?
I just gotta get proportions right.
Now I'm wondering what you guys are talking about while I went to get that one thing.
And then she's gonna fuck your OC up. That's what's gonna happen.
Because it's what it deserves.
Okay.
All right. I think it's about time for us to move on to our next topic.
I think that was the topic. The E bit. I think that was just an exclamation.
Well, you know what? It led us into a topic. So good job, Priest.
Thanks, Priest.
Well, you all know Priest has a decent one next. Is getting a degree or going to a higher form of learning necessarily crucial for being a successful professional artist? If not, what does this higher form of learning do for the professional creative, and why is it still a valuable asset to have?
I'd probably say just, at least personally, I don't have any degrees in art, and I've only taken like one class ever. So value seems kind of suspect to me.
I'll say this as a BFA who's currently making a lovely wage by stacking paper at the local factory.
Mm-hmm.
No. Help broaden your horizons and consider ideas, and help put you in an environment that kind of forces you to think about how to draw and stuff like that. Really, from what I've seen, what makes a successful artist is being able to put yourself out there and constantly making art and selling it.
Basically, you have to make yourself known.
Well,
You mean,
go ahead, Enigma.
didn't Hitler follow that advice?
Godwin's
And
law.
he's well known,
people.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Godwin's law, people.
Well, I will say this. As someone who went to college for a bachelor's degree in art, never got it, by the way. The best the higher learning does for you is it opens your mind to new ideas. The other thing it does for you is that if you are looking to get into, say, I wanted to go and apply to become an artist for Epic Games or something like that, it's a really nice little credential to have on your resume. That's pretty much it.
There are plenty of places that they won't even look at you unless you have some kind of degree.
Well, or it's more like the degree is kind of a padding. If you don't have like 100 pages in your portfolio of nothing but, better than Thomas Kincaid kind of art style and stuff.
Yeah. So, if you're trying to make a living for being an artist, exactly, I'm just curious, how would people go about that? Because it sounds like, I hear most of the... Again, I'm not an artist, so this really is not something I know anything about, but how exactly would you go about? Would you be able to make a living off your art?
Well, there are a number of different ways to go about it.
And it also kind of depends on how exactly you want to, because if it's like, if you're doing graphic design where it's like, oh, you make graphics for like a website or whatever, you might get hired on doing that.
Mhm.
Some of it comes down to you have to do work for your portfolio. And sometimes it's, okay, commissions are $20 a pop, and you do that.
Right.
Well, and a lot of it too is a lot of a lot of shilling for yourself, and
Yeah.
the thing is too, it's not just self-advertising like Enigma does, support my Patreon kind of crap. You have to convince people to spend money on you.
Right.
You
Exactly.
have to convince them that you are worth their time.
Yeah,
And it's not so much what you can do that's going to get them to you, it's why you do it. It's the passion and the drive that you have behind your art that will really sell them. What you can do doesn't matter. An artist can do just about anything.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
why you offered it to that person. It's because it's something you can do.
You
But
gotta,
it's the why and it's the power behind it.
yeah, you kind of have to be your own agent. You gotta market yourself, because especially in this day and age when, the market for artists is like throwing out a message in a bottle into a sea of messages in bottles.
Yep.
You need to stick
That's
out.
actually a very apt description.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just there's so much competition out there that you really have to make yourself stand out.
Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, if you want to get into any kind of a corporation or a business, you got to tell them, oh, hey, my art is better than the guy that you got in the studio. And that is so freaking difficult, because I guarantee you that the guy in the studio has had a lot more time and effort put into his stuff, and he can probably crank out more than you can. So,
Oh, yeah.
And if that doesn't work out, you could always be a Faku artist.
yeah, unfortunately. We won't go into any explanation as to what it is, but if you know what it is, you know what we're talking about.
I also feel like we also need to be careful though, at the same time about what, if, for example, at least as a commissioner, I found if you draw something like one thing, suddenly that is now all you are ever going to be known for drawing.
Yeah.
So choose wisely.
Yes, I know.
Otherwise, regret happens.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's also true for writing and music and just any form of.
Or like with me and my smiling mod.
Or like this. Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
Did you know that Rob Cakerin 53 wrote My Little Dashie?
I feel like one day we're gonna accidentally get Rob crowd or something, and someone yells that, and suddenly everyone just starts stockpiling on him.
It's like, I could just see it now. I'm your number one fan.
And then next thing you know, you see him like it's like a scene from a zombie movie, and you see his arm sticking out, and he has a typewriter in that arm, and he's trying to keep it above the sea of fans.
No, my typewriter.
Nah, I was thinking you were gonna go more the horror route, like, I'm your number one fan. Let me carve out your heart.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God. Hopefully he doesn't get a bunch of stands.
No, the other guy got exactly the one I was thinking of, John Lennon. Yeah, somebody who thinks it's like secret messages about the end of the world in My Little
Oh
Dashie.
God. Oh God.
So
It's the White Album.
Motherfucker.
Yes, it's the White Album.
Yeah.
So what you guys are saying is that Rob is secretly a member of the Illuminati, and he's put codes in it.
Yes. And then Charles Manson will come out of prison and tell everyone to go read My Little Dashie.
Nah, he'll turn everybody into full Connors.
Oh God. So it'll be Parents' Night Out all over.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just amplified to all of society.
guys are making me wonder how many people in prison are reading film fiction on their computer time.
Oh, fuck. So we've got people in prison just, it's like, God, that's a terrible thought. How many sex offenders
Well, I can
reading
tell you
full
this.
content?
Oh, well, I can tell you this. Anybody with interests like that are in a prison, I worked with a guy who, when he was in prison, they used to do stuff to child molesters and whatnot that would make
Yes.
most people scream. And I mean just from hearing it, but essentially one of their favorite things to do, and considering he was also Aryan Brotherhood, they used to find whatever broom they could get a hold of.
Yep.
Take this guy where no guards or cameras were, shove this broomstick up his ass, like to the point where he could taste it.
Yeah.
And then break the handle off in his ass, and then he would have to walk around like that all day.
Yeah.
And I'm
You know what?
not even shitting you, all day
No,
before
no,
they would
no.
allow the paramedics to have at him.
I know what you're talking about because there's a good family friend who he's been a correctional officer for decades, and he said if any one of those inmates touched kids, the other inmates will fuck them up really badly, or they will just flat out kill them.
Pretty much, yeah. If you're a multiple offender, you're not going to last a day.
No,
One-time offense, you'll get probably beaten near to death. But yeah.
And it's not just if you rape a kid; it's also if you kill a kid.
Oh yeah, I know.
If anything involving kids, like he said, if you rape a woman, whatever, you murder some guy, whatever. But the second you start touching kids, they will gang up on you and they will fuck you up.
And they'll even rival gangs will get together just to do this to you.
Oh yeah.
If you're that kind of person.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like some sort of mob or vigilante justice sort of in the prisons.
Well, I mean, we've already proven that. What is it? Oh, what's it called? When the crowd polices itself.
Mob justice.
Oh yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It's like I heard about it when they were talking about mosh pits and moshing back in the 80s and 90s.
Oh,
before
okay.
Dr. Phil was the biggest thing. It was
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. You can look it up. It's really fun to watch actually. Look up Marilyn Manson moshing, and it's an old video that somebody uploaded onto YouTube. It was back from. I love it so much because it points out so many flaws in mainstream logic. And they're like, where's the security for the event? And they're like, the security for the event will not go into the crowd.
No.
They are paid to protect the band, And this whole thing started over one of the security guards pushed the dude off the stage, and the dude fell down and snapped his neck because of it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which, he was a dumbass, and he should have been being a dumbass in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the logic behind it. But they're trying to get this security guard in all kinds of trouble, and then they're trying to blame, shows like Manson's and whatnot for being violent. This is back when this was supposedly a problem. Like I said, it's really interesting. I love watching.
Yeah, I can tell that was in the 80s and 90s because that was when that was back when, punk, rap. It's just like it was being blamed for like everything. Those two genres of music were pretty much blamed for everything back in those days. And
now rap is being blamed for everything else, which I kind of am on the fence of. It is causing a problem, but it's only so. It depends. I honestly think it depends on the artist and it depends on the song.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but I don't know. I sort of disagree, but then again, I'm biased in that way. But of course, it also depends on the artist too.
Well, when all you're singing about is smoking weed, getting high, shooting people, making money, stealing money, killing hoes, raping hoes, and so on and so on and so on, and believe me, the list goes.
Well,
You kind of have to wonder where some of these people get their attitudes from. Not even what they do, but just their attitude. God damn.
Yeah, but I think another problem is that isn't so much the artist's fault as much as it's the people's fault. Because if you listen to some of those songs, they're not glorifying violence. They're not glorifying gang life. They're basically telling how it was for them.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's like, and a lot of them actually describe it in
Well,
a
I'm not
negative
talking about
light.
the ones that are sincere. I'm not even referencing the ones that are being sincere and saying, yeah, this shit happened. But I'm talking about, like, you know, this, they're deifying their own lifestyle regardless of any crimes they may or may not have committed, because they're trying to build themselves up to be a badass, and then all these little wannabes are following in their footsteps and causing problems.
Yeah.
I have a brother-in-law who typifies this, believe it or not. He thought being a pimp was the thing to be. He thought being a criminal was the thing to be. Now he's in jail for suspected murder. They don't expect him to get out for like 20 years. And he was a drug addict and all this other kind of fun stuff. And I honestly think it was because he was deifying that lifestyle of, you know, getting high and being a gangsta, and he was the whitest fucking, you know, white boy you've ever seen.
I
Just about.
I don't know, man.
I tend to fall on the side that if someone is by that, I feel like it's more on them than
It is.
Oh, it was. He was a major screw up for most of his life, but I think it was more of a, because of where he grew up. It wasn't just the music, I can tell you that right now, but because of where he grew up, it definitely did not help. And because, you know, being a gangsta and being a pimp was his ideal life, well, he got his ideal life, and now he's serving time for it.
Well, see, and I would argue if that would be more of a case of environment, just the people he was around more than the music. Because, I mean, you could make it, to me, I'm sorry, Rap, to me, it sounds too similar to when all those people, they would get their panties in a knot. So it's like, oh, violent video games, it's turning people into murderers. Like, oh, you know, kids, they claim that they were inspired to shoot someone because they played Grand Theft Auto or Doom, and they play all these violent video games. It's just, to me, it's more of...
I know. I'm just referencing the worst case scenario.
Right.
You know, because his home life when he grew up was not good. The people he decided to hang out with were not good. You know, drug dealers and druggies themselves. So it does come down to life choices. But then when his favorite song in the whole world is the most annoying rap song I've ever heard in my life, and somebody can probably quote me on this, but the main beat and the main lyrics for the song are a milla, a milla, milla, a milla, a milla.
Oh
milla,
God,
milla,
fuck
milla,
that song.
Yeah,
okay, yes, I know
money.
who
The
you...
whole fucking thing is talking about money. It's like, shut up.
Okay, yeah,
Get
that's
some depth.
That's Lil Wayne. Yeah, I'll agree with you. Lil Wayne is shit, but so, but no, yeah, I get what you're saying, Raph. I don't dispute that. It probably played maybe some role, but I seriously, to me, it just sounds like in most of these cases, it's more of they grow up in a really shitty household, they grow up in a really shitty area, and that is ultimately what's going to drive them to that type of shit. And honestly, because dude, I know other people who were like that. You know, I have a cousin who's been in and out of prison for so many crimes. He was into drugs and all that shit, and I'm glad that he's been able to at least get off of that shit, and that he's married now and he has kids. And as far as I know, he's kept his nose clean for the past several years and is now trying to become a counselor for drug addicts in prisons. So I'm really glad he's been able to come clean. But yeah, no, for like the longest time, I would have nothing to do with him because he was a total fuck up. You know, he was all into that shit, and like, yeah, no, I totally know what you're talking about.
Are we still on art college?
Yeah, I don't know how we tangent. I don't
And
know
that,
how to
kids, is
tangent.
why you should not get a degree.
I'm just sitting here in the sidelines waiting for you fuckers to stop talking about like all this. Like it went too deep.
Well, I think we can probably segue into something a little lighter hearted. Priest's last topic is also, does better equipment make a better artist?
Ooh.
Make an
don't
artist
think
better.
Better equipment makes you a more capable artist.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing. Sorry.
Yeah, because a lot of it comes down to, even a master artist can take like a box of Crayola crayons and make something fucking fantastic out of it. The thing to learn about artistic equipment is it isn't something that automatically adds to your draw better score ability or whatever. It is a tool. And the only way that you can make better stuff with better tools is if the person wielding them is better. They are a method. They are not the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Oh, good conversation.
Anything to add about rap music and prisons?
Oh God, no, I think we exhausted that topic. But I was gonna say, you know, to me that makes sense, because just because you're gonna give someone, you know, some sort of tool or machine or whatever that can allow them to do more advanced things or more sophisticated things, or maybe it makes things easier, that doesn't improve their skill. That's
If anything, you have to learn more and new skills to keep up with this new, if it's a machine, this new tool. You have to learn more skills, new skills, just to be able to use this machine. Sorry, tool.
Yeah. And that being said, naturally, of course, if you have better equipment, it can help you make better art. But that's because, again, you know how to use it.
right. Well, it's like, I know this is an odd comparison, but I'm a STEM major, so I have to use a lot of math. So oftentimes that means I have to use calculators. Well, you know, for Christmas I got a very advanced calculator. Sure, it can do all sorts of great things for me, but I have to know how to use it. And if I don't know how to use it correctly, I'm not going to be able to get to what I need. And those calculators, they don't take away the fact that you need to know how to do math. Like, for instance, if I want to tell a calculator to do an integral, which is calculus, I need to know calculus. I need to know enough about calculus to be able to tell it what I want. Otherwise, it can't do what I need it to do. And just to me in general, it seems like if you're going to give someone an advanced tool machine, that won't necessarily make them better at something. Because if you're going to give someone who isn't that great this advanced tool with all these features, or this advanced program, or this advanced equipment, then if they're not that good in the first place, then why should we expect these to make them better, to inherently make them better?
Yeah.
It just, to me, it wouldn't make much sense, because at the end of the day, that still requires artistic skill or talent to use them.
Yep.
All right. And our next topic is from Tony Montana.
Yeah.
When drawing OCs not in a commission, do you put any of their personality into that particular piece? For example, what they're doing, facial expressions, body language, clothing, where they are.
That's a
Do I need to explain what I was asking?
maybe.
I don't. Maybe.
It's yes.
Okay, so what I was asking is, okay, so obviously, you know, characters in a show, they have their character personality pretty well defined. And in a lot of art pieces I've seen, a lot of it usually incorporates some element of their personality, you know, what they're doing, you know, their facial expressions, their body language, wherever they are, etc. But if you've made an OC, or if there's a friend's OC, or there's just an OC that's someone made that you really like, and you're drawing that, do you put hints of their personality in that art?
Oh, I always
Mm.
try to, because I mean, their personality is an integral part of that OC. So if they're missing that, they're not really that OC. I feel like.
Yeah, I kind of feel like even if you're doing something like just drawing a reference picture, it feels typical to at least include something to how they are to be indicative of their personality. Like, if someone has a bubbly personality, you might have them in kind of a energetic pose, or if you have someone who's serious, you might have them kind of looking stoic or something like that.
Right.
It's just, I mean, unless you're like trying to draw a specific situation in which it isn't that necessary to bring out a specific aspect of their personality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and which at that point I think is more about avoiding stereotyping them into a like
A note.
emotional set. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Well, and that kind of ties into one of the topics that I had put down below, and I'll go ahead and skip one of my other topics for this second. How do you tell a story through art? And that ties in a lot with what we were just talking about, adding personality to a drawing. And I was talking more like still art through, like what we're doing right now, just non-moving, non-3D, stuff like that. It's how do you tell a story through a single picture? How do you get an emotion? How do you get a feeling? You know, can you get a feeling for that character's personality based on their expression, based on what they're wearing, based on what or who else they are around?
I was about to say you can use sequence, but then you said single picture, so
That made it harder.
Maybe a toss-up between pose versus expression.
Yeah, like I would definitely think pose and expression to be important. I think there's also things like context for a character, because it's like, yeah, you can have stuff like pose and expression, and then it's like, what kind of environment are they in? It's like, do you have someone who is looking sad while they are alone? Do you have someone looking sad while they are at a party? And that kind of tells a different story depending on the context.
Well, and there comes in the actual context. How do you portray, for example, loneliness just through the character sitting there and looking sad? How do you portray that they are lonely?
You know, if I were to make a quick idea for that, it would be make them small and put them in a large negative space. Just them in a blank space. Because, you know, being small, alone, there's nothing else around you, can do a very good job
Maybe
of doing that.
Yeah. Or like have them set up in a defensive pose, like hunched over. That's kind of a defensive pose, but in this instance, more of an emotionally defensive than physical.
Right. Yeah, that's.
Well, because then you kind of have to define loneliness versus frightened. Because if you go into kind of a defensive, wrapping your arms around your chest kind of a thing, then you're thinking, okay, are they cold? Have they been beaten? Stuff like that.
I mean, often fear and loneliness sort of go together.
That, what, I was just about to say that, yeah, because here's a good question I would have, Rav. How would you be able to mix those two together in a picture? How would you mix emotions in a picture or just a drawing?
Then you wouldn't be able to portray it through the character alone. You'd have to start making parts of your background. You'd have to make them other characters in the piece.
I think
you have to describe something. Like if we're talking negative emotions, broken picture frames, faded pictures on. I don't know, old mail that hasn't been read in a long time is decaying and stuff like that. Maybe have a shadow looming over the character, stuff like that. The character in the picture isn't always the only character in the picture.
Sometimes you can even portray something without a direct character as well. Because there can be things where it's like, there's the idea of a ruined cityscape in which there is no people there. There's kind of a story behind that.
Yeah.
Or I remember there being there's the idea of a short story that can say a lot. I remember an example being a teddy bear laying on the ground.
Or, maybe there's like a bunch of, maybe it's like a rundown house or something and it's all torn to pieces and you got like broken photo frames with like family pictures in them or something.
Ooh. Or maybe the house from the new It movie, if anybody's seen it.
I have not. I know you talked about.
To give you just the gist of it, it's basically just a really, really old house where all the paint has faded, there's busted windows, there's cobwebs all over the place, the yard hasn't been taken care of. It's an old iron fence that's all rusted and all that, going all the way around the property.
Or,
And it gives you that really creepy vibe. It's not lonely, it's not anything like that, but because of all the really dark shades and the fact that even during the day you cannot see into the windows, they're all black, it makes it fearsome, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Wow. Here's another one though. I'm into city builders, and one of the things I really like to look into is just urban decay. And then you can there's pictures of like Detroit or Chicago or maybe back in like the 80s of like the Bronx or other areas or hell even over in like Europe or whatever. Oh, especially a good one is Pripyat in Ukraine.
Oh yes,
where Chernobyl happened. It's just pictures like that. You like, for example, in Pripyat, you got a schoolroom that's basically left untouched from when they evacuated the city after the Chernobyl accident. You've got just this playground. It's empty. It's rusted. It's falling apart. Abandoned. Yes, and the schools are falling apart. There's like plants overgrowing
in nature.
Or it's like, in Detroit, you have urban prairies now where neighborhoods used to lie. Now there's just maybe 1 or 2 houses that are just falling to pieces and then surrounded by prairies. And now you've got raccoons there, and it's just... Or...
I guess on the idea of duality that was kind of mentioned before, like I look at those sort of things and I kind of feel like it's more optimistic, like a cycle of rebirth of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing about how nature and the world works. It doesn't matter what kind of an impact we as humans have. And I mean, I'm not to sound defeatist or anything like that, but
No.
No matter what we do, nature always has a way of coming back and taking back over. And there are very, very few places on the earth that will stay that way forever.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I don't think humans distinct, regardless of what everybody says. Because life has a way of going on, no matter what. And I honestly do not think that the most intelligent things on this planet are going to just disappear.
Well, no. I mean, we won't.
It would take something cataclysmic.
Well, even if a nuclear war happened.
Now, let's go beyond nuclear war. Let's talk about, like, an asteroid striking the Earth and wiping out everything on the surface.
Yeah, well...
then it's happened before, and we've...
Well, yeah, I mean, look, humanity, early on in our times, this is long before recorded history, there was a massive volcanic eruption, like 80,000, 100,000 years ago, that killed off over...
like the one at Pompeii?
Oh, no.
Was this like Indonesia?
This was like Central Asia. It was in the Himalayas, I think. This was long before civilization, and it's estimated to kill like over 90% of the humans that existed at it, because there was this cold era, this sort of ice age type thing, because the volcano eruption was so powerful it chilled the earth, and yet we still survived. I mean, we've survived countless plagues. We've survived horrific natural disasters. I mean,
we're surviving ourselves, which is a feat in and of itself.
It is. We've survived countless wars, famines, plagues, horrific disasters. I mean, say what you want about humans, but we're really fucking resilient.
I've always definitely fallen on the side of where no matter what happens, we will somehow find the technology to overcome it.
Well, yeah, and
even in terms of survival.
And also, even before technology was really a thing for us. Like, for instance, when I was talking about that huge volcano, humans, I know it may not seem like it for a lot of people, but humans in general actually have a very good survival instinct. We've always had, just for whatever reason, some sort of survival instinct that has allowed us to succeed and get to where we are.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's just survival. And, I hate to blow our own horn here, but, we are the single most clever animal on this planet.
Oh, no, we are. We are definitely that. I mean...
You say that, but all I can think of is how many times today someone said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah. Or just how many words have come out of Enigma's mouth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Today.
Or the fact that Enigma hasn't spoken in the last 5 minutes.
Maybe there is hope for mankind.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I have nothing to contribute. You guys are getting too deep for me again.
We're going too deep, man. We got pulled out.
Well, hey, you said you went to college. Contribute, pleb.
You say something really stupid and break us out of a deep talk.
Yes, talk about dragon tits.
Oh god.
Now that's a topic people enjoy.
Well,
God, it is weird that we didn't get dragon tits as a topic this week.
Yeah, it
What's
is.
happening?
I know.
Well,
People are getting more sophisticated. That's what, Alec.
Ugh.
They're looking for all the robot tits now.
Yes, robot tits are the next dragon tits.
What?
We
what do
have
they
it.
say-
no, it
We
already
do in
happened
fact have
though.
the technology to give dragon tits robotically. It
What
has
do
been done.
what do robot tits secrete? Battery acid?
Oh God. Yeah,
If
just
that's your fetish.
Yeah, if that is your fetish, and I'm sure your skin will love you for that.
Hmm.
Your body will definitely love you. Oh yeah, baby, give me all that battery acid. Just corrode my insides.
No. Give me the juice, baby. Zzz, zzz. It'd be like no. It'd be like a reverse sex toy. You wouldn't pin the clamps onto the nipples. You just grab them and. Bzzz.
Oh God.
I'm sure this sounds like a guy whose fetish is electrical stimulation's dream.
I know a few people who are not into electrical stimulation, but it does help. Um,
Oh
So-
God. Are you gonna talk about that person again, Rav?
no, but I am referencing that person. Anyways, I'm gonna roll my next two topics into one, just because we're on the topics of machines and robots and whatnot. What art programs do we like and why, and what would we like to see improved about them?
Oh, yeah, because it is kind of interesting. Is on YouTube the other day, I did notice someone was asking in the comments about what art programs you use. Just adding that. So people are curious.
Well, I'll let our guest go first.
Oh, alrighty, then I'll. So I only honestly switched from MS Paint like years ago, for better or worse. And I kind of immediately. So with my tablet, it came with ArtRage, just automatically, and so I kind of switched immediately from MS Paint to ArtRage, and I have never looked back. So
I've not heard of this one.
that's what everyone says. It's apparently relatively popular because it recreates traditional art styles really well. And I mostly like it because it's not like I'm looking at everyone else's programs on the other second monitor, and that number of menus terrifies me. And
Layers. I mean, we have our onions. I mean, we need layers in our program. too.
Oh God.
I'll stick with just regular art layers. But yeah, that's mine. So
Nice. Yeah.
Wait, did you finish the drawing already?
I have to say, it's really
gotta
good.
shade it
Yeah,
Gotta
it does.
shade it
look real good.
quick.
You made it sound like you were gonna do something to my character that was like devious.
Oh God, no. Alto, you're too kind to Nick.
Just
Well-
ruin it somehow. Do two dogs copulating in the background or something.
It looks like it looks like he's like trying to form the YMCA, but he's angry that there's no other people to do the other letters.
Lonely.
Yeah,
That's the real joke.
he's forever
Loneliness.
alone.
Oh God. Well, I mean, I know for me, for the longest time, I used Photoshop because there are a couple of technical things here and there that I really liked about it. And then I also used Paint Tool Sci, which was a little more natural. It still had the menus and whatnot in it, but the tools that it had programmed into it, even though they weren't as natural, they were still more free-flowing, and they worked so much better than anything in Photoshop. And then I started looking around for other programs, and I'm like, well, I'm tired of switching back and forth between these two, even for as much as I like them. And then I found Clip Studio Paint, which at the time it was called Manga Studio. And I figured, why the hell not? $150, there you go, because that's how much it was at the time. And I now have a program that I am at least mostly fluent in. I can do many, many things with it. And I can also keep it really, really simple. I don't use all those menus all the time. I pick my basic tools and I use those. The menus are basically there for if I want to get advanced, if I want to. The one thing two things I love about this program is that they have perspective rulers, a 1, 2, and 3-point perspective ruler, as well as it has an actual manga feature in it. So I can add page after page after page and draw my own comic if I want.
Oh.
So at some point, if I can ever get myself around to become that dedicated, I want to do, my own comic book at some point. So, having that tool there instead of having to open a whole pages, in Photoshop or in Sci, which you can't really do, is extremely useful.
What are you doing to Enigma's?
Yeah, I saw that. You're going down.
Wait, what? I look at the tab and now wait, what? Why am
the bush.
I?
Oh God.
Needs sense.
Be like the Zohan.
Why am I persecuted?
No, it's just your genitals. Pencil took them away.
Yeah. Oh well, she did revoke his right to reproduce. Although didn't she reinstate that?
She reinstated that when I showed her my latest work, and she was impressed.
But of course, she did also add good luck. Right?
Also, if you can send me a link to the original drawing without the words, I can put it on my I can put it on my fanfic and credit you for the drawing, like the other ones.
One original version. This is the original.
Yeah.
I'll send you 3 copies.
Oh God, she's kind to you, Enigma.
Now we'll have to be meaner to him to make up for it.
Guano.
All right. Well, since we're not hearing anything from our other artists.
Oh, I use Photoshop because it's been on my laptop since art school. When it comes to stuff I've actually picked out on my my Samsung Note, I use a program called ArtFlow. It's nice because I can make a bunch of layers on it. I can use it to share stuff to my laptop through Dropbox, which can be very nice because I can make up some stuff on the tablet and then bring it over to my PC to like balance out color and things like that. I suppose if I were to want things to be better in that sense, it would be to make the pipeline much easier without always needing to rely on something like Dropbox. But hey, it's functional. That's honestly, that's all I can really ask for out of my programs is like, okay, do you read the pressure sensitivity of my pen? Will you save the artwork? Will you do layers? Okay, we can get along.
Don't ask for much.
Yeah.
See, and this kind of reminded me of the other part of this topic is, what about our programs would we change? And I'm going to go ahead and state this right now. The only thing I would change is I really wish we had the same tactile feel as pencil on paper. If for no other reason than on paper, no matter how superficial it is, I can still feel my lines when I run into them when I go to color or shade.
That would be nice, yeah. I think you would need like some super duper tech, like a really good tactile feedback thing for that.
Oh, that would be so amazing, wouldn't it? Honestly,
Yeah.
all it really needs is like resistance on the tip. So like with the Wacom tablets and everything, they do have replaceable nibs for the pen, and they've got like felt on them. I used mine it's like a super hard felt or whatever, but it gave you that same kind of semi-roughness. The only thing is, though, you'd be going through screen protectors like once a week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just thought of one other thing that would be nice for our programs to have. If somehow by drawing on them, we would instantly subscribe to the Barcast.
No.
Oh, God.
No,
That was
stop him quick. Stop him.
Shilling time.
Yes! Time for shilling, everyone!
No.
So,
Quick, change the subject.
you can subscribe to the Barcast Patreon, and by doing that, you can help feed an actual real-life horse and have it be taken care of. Please give money to the Barcast Patreon. And if you've done enough of that, why not consider giving to the Patreons of the members of this podcast? Or whatever the hell this is.
Except Enigma.
Yes,
So-
except Enigma. Fuck
But
Enigma.
my Patreon feeds a horse to a bale of hay.
Wait, you're feeding the bale of hay a horse?
No, yes.
And by
Oh,
bale
God.
of hay, he means his family.
All right. Well, I was going to try and make that better, but I don't think I could.
Okay, shield time's over. You can come back out of your hidey holes.
All right. I think we'll move on to Vylon. And I wish I could do the time. It's time for questions with Vylon thing, but unfortunately my balls are off, so I can't do that.
It's time for questions with
With
Vylon.
Vylon.
Oh, God.
Hurt you.
Oh, God. I would, like I said, I would do it, but my roommate's asleep, and I would really have to raise my voice for it. Okay. So, as long as art is alive, each artist has their own style. That one defining trait, however small it may be, manifests in their work and identifies them for all the other artists. Defining traits and art styles. I like it.
You mean necrophilia? We're talking about
God.
Vylon.
Knowing her, she'd find a way to make that an actual art style.
Yeah, but an art style of, fucking aborted fetuses or something. That sounds something like Vylon would do.
Well, subject matter is often a way to help identify kind of an artist and what they tend to do. Like, what's his name? Shit. Who's the dude who's really known for doing like the biomechanical art? He designed the alien from Alien.
Geiger.
Yeah.
Geiger.
Giger, whatever. Yes, him.
Is it? I can't remember.
Yeah, he's the guy.
I want to say it's H.R. Geiger.
Yes, H.R. Geiger. Like,
I'm
you
probably
look at a
wrong,
piece
but-
of his and it's like, oh yeah, that's something he did. And it's like, yeah, you'll get people who kind of like copy and do what he does, but it's like when you look at that sort of style of this biological and mechanical fusion, you go, oh, that's very Geiger-esque.
Biological, mechanical, and phallic. You forgot all the phallic parts to his work.
Does anybody know who did the art for the Hercules cartoon, or who inspired the style?
Shoot. I used to know, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now because the guy's art is really fucking dark.
Because like the concept art was way different than what being in the movie.
Well, and that it was conceptualized by an artist who does like these grotesque caricatures, and they are so uniquely his. I honestly don't think I have seen anything like it. Let's see. Where are you?
James Woods.
Okay, I believe the guy's name is Gerald Scarf.
Hmm. I don't.
At least that's what I want to say, but okay, let's do an actual Google search on his art. Recent search. Yep, this is him. Gerald Scarf, and I'm gonna post the image search into the chat for you guys. Anyways, you'll notice how when you get to artists that have a truly unique style, you can distinguish them from every other art style, no matter how different it might be. It's like with the animation style of the cartoon movie Hercules. All of the style of the movie was based off of the concepts by Gerald Scarf, and it's very what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Distinct, I'm gonna say. You know, and even then they added a few things into his style, not necessarily to make it their own, but to make it more Grecian in the way it looks. Kind of like having the curl they put on his chin, for example. That I used to know the name of the style. It's that curl of the pillars that on the temples. And believe it or not, those styles, the way they built those temples, have their own names. And I took an art appreciation class, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what they're called.
You could probably just make up a name and we wouldn't be able to call you out.
Yeah, but now you know.
He did the art for
Showed your soon.
as well.
Nice.
I don't know if any of you have ever seen that, but that's really funny.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know how funny it actually would be for anyone outside of England, but that is probably one of my favourite comedy series.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I totally get what you're talking about, and you know, there's I've seen a great deal of satirical cartoons. You know, if you've ever taken any sort of history class, a lot of times you'll have to analyze satire, and one guy that always comes up a lot is Thomas Nast, and you can when you see a certain amount of Thomas Nast cartoons, you can point out one fairly easy because they typically resolve around certain caricatures of people. And yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Who posted this?
silence.
Who posted this image? Cyber Draconian. Is that Cyber Phazon?
No, that's someone else. Where? Okay, question. Where is he getting all of these images?
Well, it's got this pointless pony tips number 1764. And it says ponies will raid for your socks, also likely steal your pants, though not while you're in them. Probably. And my only real takeaway from this image is that Rarity has bumped her head into the bottom drawer, and the first thing that went through my mind based on the look on Twilight's face is that her horn went through the bottom of the drawer.
Oh God!
Like poked her in the ass or something.
That's the implication. Yeah. 'Cause why else would Twilight be doing that
I
first?
said poked her in the ass. I said poked her in the ass. I did not say none of your full con idealistic shit. So
Oh,
you bunch
wait.
of perverts.
I didn't even
Well,
notice that. Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Rab? That's still penetration. So
You know,
Looking through the drawer.
this makes me think that at some point in a question,
accidental full con.
at some point, you know when you stub your toe, it's got to be worse for them.
Well,
Their toe is a nail.
And their horn will go into their skull.
I'm not sure. Wouldn't it just? Well, because that would be. Okay, I'm trying to think about the mechanics of this. Hold on.
That was your
Don't try.
first.
It'll hurt. It hurts too much. Don't try.
God.
Okay, but yeah, personal styles and distinctive. What's another good, very, very distinctive art style that you honestly haven't seen anything like?
I would Gustav Klimt. He
Links?
did a lot of painting with gold leaf back in, I don't remember when he was doing paintings. I don't know, maybe in the 20s or 30s or something. But I've definitely never seen that sort of setup used before. Or since.
Oh, I've seen his art style before. Oh wow, it's been a long, long time. I've seen a lot of art styles that have played on that, where it's got
Yeah.
like all the what would you call it, like patchwork textures around it,
Yeah.
and so on.
Mhm.
There's an anime like that, or several really, but the one that comes to mind is one called Paprika.
Elfin. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've never seen an animation do that as well as that movie.
Satoshi Kon was just legitimately amazing at character art.
Mm. I am honestly really happy that they didn't try to use a 3D program to impose the designs onto a flat character when they're trying to make it seem like it's 3D. I've seen people
Yes.
try to do that before, and it is so terrible. It ends up so bad. Vylon's next sentence is, however, there are those who mimic others. Hold on. Oops. I reloaded. Yeah, it didn't work. Okay. Let me start again. However, there are those who mimic others not because of ill will, but mostly because of inspiration and various good intentions. Should an artist be as unique as possible, what can you say about artists who rely on others' methods and styles?
Well, I mean, is there has to be a line between mimicking as in a way of ripping off someone, or say mimicking as a way they draw inspiration from someone.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, well, for one, besides the obvious idea of, well, you start off, it's not unusual to start off copying others before you kind of accrue your own style.
Right.
But it's kind of one of those things where it's like there can be, it's like trying to pin the difference between a ripoff and an homage.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's a bit hard to place, but usually it's a sense of respect or kind of a deference. And that it's like, yes, I am copying this, not because I'm going, oh, look how great I am. It's because I think this dude's style is the bee's knees, and I like using it because, oh my god, it's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
imitation is
Yeah.
the sincerest form of flattery. Isn't it,
Right, but
Though I
as-
admit, when that happens to me, I always get irritated.
Yeah.
Wait, you have people who mimic you?
Well, I've had some people earlier that have essentially done that, yeah.
Oh.
And like, I don't. Well, I kind of fall into the arena where if they're doing it to learn and they're not trying to pass it off as their own personal work, I don't actually care. But it's when they start being like, look what I did. It's like, no, you need to credit who's helped.
Oh, those people who just like take the base and just recolor it and add like something else.
Oh
Yes.
god, yes, the DeviantArt base cache. That lovely little section of DeviantArt where you've got millions upon millions upon millions of trace, retrace, and redrawn anime bases.
Oh god.
You know, someone did that to me once in fic form.
Oh.
Really? God, I
Yeah.
feel bad for them.
What's worse? Go ahead.
What was that? What were you gonna say?
I was just going to say it gets worse when you have stuff like, you hear about there's things like, oh, the people who will sell the adoptables that are basically just copy pasted from a Pony Maker program.
Oh, I try not to hate on people's art, but I hate adoptables, especially original character adoptables.
Yeah.
Because they're rarely ever actually original.
I don't get adoptables. Do adoptables mean that you have the right to use this character in whatever form you want now, or?
Yeah, it's something I know someone who has adopted some OCs, and she's actually an artist as well. Apparently what happens is that I guess there's an auction or whatever it is. It's like, or they just have it up for open, first come, first serve. It varies depending on what it is, but you pay a certain amount of money and you basically, that OC becomes yours to use. And sometimes they come with a backstory, sometimes not. There's all sorts of differences. It really depends on who's doing it, what all's going on.
Well, I mean, before I got into the pony community and when I was more into like the furry stuff, there is a lot of adoptables that go along there. The nice thing, however,
that other guy, yes, for an adoptable, you do pay for OC. That is correct. He asked you, you pay for an OC. That was his question.
Yeah.
And I just want to clarify, yes, you do actually pay to use OC to where it becomes yours.
Yep. Well, and like I said, I was into the furry community, and the one thing I noticed is the one nice thing about the adoptables in the furry community is they are so much harder to steal than the one in the pony community, because when you use a program like Inkscape or Ponyscape to make vectors, you cannot imprint your artistic style on those things. They are far too technical, and they end up looking generic, like anybody can make them. And it only varies very, very slightly from one artist to another.
Right.
But the problem is with vectors, anybody can claim them. And you would honestly have no way to track down the original until you find somebody that says, "Oh, hey, no, I know who the artist is who came up with this character. You got your money ripped off because this character doesn't belong to you. It wasn't actually up for sale in the first place." And so you end up with a lot of places like Pinterest is really notorious for having adoptables that do not belong to the people putting them up there.
I can believe that. But
well, I caught 2 or 3 people trying to sell art from some people that I watch on DeviantArt saying, it wasn't the same username, didn't have any of their other art on there. And I know for a fact that those characters were not adoptables because they had actual names and backstories and whatnot on DeviantArt existed long before that post on Pinterest came up. And it's like, dude, you need to stop this or I'm reporting you. And I ended up reporting them anyways, but
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like some aspects of those things it's like, oh, okay, you want a character, that's nice and all, but it's things where it's like when you especially get to a thing that is just you're either just using some program to procedurally generate a thing, and sell that, or just flat out selling someone else's work. If you do that, you are scum.
Yeah. But here's what I don't get. If you're gonna pay to adopt an OC, okay, and I'm assuming the art of that OC is already written, why don't you come up with your own OC and pay a similar amount of money to get a commission for it?
Well, and see, therein lies your problem. It depends on how far you want to take this OC. Do you just want to buy the design so that you can own the design? Or do you want an actual legitimate character? Because the prices of those two are vastly, if not wildly different. You know, anybody can come up with a cool design. Not every artist has the talent to come up with an actual good character.
Right, but what I'm saying is you could come up with OC yourself. And then pay someone to draw the OC, because because from what I understand with adoptables is the art for that OC is already, the OC itself has already been. So, but you're going to pay to adopt it, then why not pay to have someone draw your own?
Yeah, it seems impersonal to me, I guess. But
it just, to me, adoptions, they seem like a lazy way out, of making a natural OC.
Yeah. Like, I have no idea why people would want that, other than just kind of the reaction of I want the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then
It's like buying a baby off someone in an alleyway.
Oh God, Jesus! So, Enigma, is that how your mom got you?
Well,
Damn.
the police called it a kidnapping, but she called it a surprise adoption.
Yeah. So yeah, like there's that whole idea of why not just design your own and then have someone else do it. I mean, I know there's other aspects like, oh, I like this design, this color combination, all that, but at the same time, you mean like ponies come in all colors of the rainbow and all that, and it's one of those things where just because there's a certain color combination does not set that character. I mean, I know there's also stuff like cutie marks and all that, but it's...
Yeah, I guess I can understand, in a sense, that you see a design you really like, and you just really want that. But I don't know. It just seems lazy. It just seems lazy to me. Okay.
So in summary, people do not adopt orphan children.
Yeah, that's.
Yes,
that's what OC.
Yes, that is entirely the point of this conversation.
That's what OC means, right? Orphan children. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Just let the orphans starve, okay?
Don't adopt them.
No, never adopt orphans. Because then that would mean you would adopt Scootaloo. Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a nice point to have some silence.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of OCs and art styles and all that, Mike Snipe asks, how would you say your individual style developed? What was it that brought you to this particular style? How big is your dick?
I think there was a change in topic there.
Well, I mean, look, if you run out of ruler, man, you're packing something.
My dick is above a certain size.
I'm packing a roll of quarters. I'm not happy to see you.
Well, I don't know. What?
Well, you certainly weren't born with an egg roll, Enigma. We know that.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm just gonna say it's some value that's greater than 0 and less than infinity.
I will say this for all you aspiring artists out there: get good. Your dick will get bigger because of it.
Shit, man. You know what, Alex? We need to start drawing.
It's like, what else are you supposed to draw with?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think I'm using my hands to make this of that thing?
So Alto, I have a question. As you draw your dick,
I'm sorry?
as you kept drawing and drawing more, did your dick just grow with each drawing?
Yeah, it's kind of like a slinky. Kind of.
Oh god. Damn, you can just walk down the street and smack all sorts of bitches with it. Just bang, 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 bang.
Oh god.
There's another bit
Damn,
to this
man.
question. I've forgotten what it was.
So each I got it now. Each inch equals a commission that you've had.
Yep.
Yeah, the question was, I think, how would you say your individual style developed? What was it that brought you to this particular style?
Like, look at watercolors. There's no deep meaning. It just is.
Yeah, Balto, I looked at your DeviantArt things, and it has like an innocent look to your art.
That's where I put all the safe for work stuff.
Oh.
Oh, so we have a not safe for work.
So what you're saying, beneath the black thing you put beneath my carrot Myosi's crotch, she actually has a dick beneath that.
What dick? Enigma hasn't drawn anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no dicks for you, Enigma. Not unless you're getting them in an alley somewhere, you know, because nobody pays your Patreon.
Dicks out for Harambe.
God damn it! All right.
Welcome to 2016.
I'm going to be very basic and say my style has been influenced by whatever visual stuff I look at. Like, if you were to look at stuff I made during my childhood, you would see that, yes, I was one who was reading stuff like The Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes. And then you can tell that, oh, at some point, this stupid kid discovered anime.
I think everyone has that stage.
Yeah, then I did a whole bunch of that, and eventually I got into art school, and they said, hey, dumbass, you can't just draw cartoons. And then I actually started to learn to draw shit. And now
So
I'm
you
drawing
learned how to
cartoons
draw.
again.
So you went from drawing shit to then drawing literal shit.
And then writing shit.
Yeah, writing. Sure.
Then he ended up on here.
Yeah, you start off, and then you progress. Yeah.
So, okay, I have a maybe a build-up question from that. What makes you? What made you, as artists, want to progress, shift your style around? Because for me, it was pretty much entirely self-hatred of my own art. Is that a universal?
What inspires me to get better is when I can't draw something that I want to be able to draw, you know. And if it bugs me enough, I will go off. It's not enough to just find images of the thing you want to draw. That helps.
Yeah.
But for me, it helps to see somebody else's art who's already drawn it, because then I can see, oh, that's how they got it to look that way, or, you know, maybe this line would work better than how I would have done it. You know, I'm more of the. I learn better by studying things.
Yeah.
And things that have already been done than coming up with my own. Now, that's not to say I don't come up with my own, but it, like I said, it helps. It helps tremendously. A good example would be when I first started drawing, the best how to draw books were always how to draw anime, and they always drew heads a specific way, a very, very particular way. Well, and then after I learned that, then I started experimenting with the lines and the proportions, and that's how I came up with one of my own art styles, which does not follow the divide divide the face into 4 parts to get your head or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I actually at one point put it up to dividing the face into 5 lines because I couldn't make sense of it. I went and drew a face and then over like a super simple shape, and then I tried to, okay, let's reverse engineer this thing so I can draw it at different angles. And it took me about a week to come up with that 5-section face just to be able to redraw this head at different angles.
Yeah. Joking aside, yeah, that's actually pretty similar to how I tend to operate. I want to do that.
Well, and the best advice I can give anybody is find a teacher. Find somebody who's willing to teach you something. You will learn so than experimenting on your own. All these great artists that we've mentioned and looked at and so on, most of them may or may not have had teachers, and quite a few of them did not have a teacher at all. It took them decades to reach where they are. It takes us maybe a year sometimes because we have these other artists that we can draw inspiration, and we can go to people who are teaching this, okay, this is how I came up with this is how I came up with that. And it makes the process of inventing your style so much easier.
Right.
Yeah. If I were to make a suggestion on top of all this stuff, because things like getting a teacher, knowing that there's things that you want to draw, kind of to complement those every once in a while, and I know this can be hard to do, try out something that you've not really paid attention to. Whether it's a subject matter, a style, a instrument of arting. Because sometimes kind of the best way to kind of improve yourself is to break out of your bubble. If you're really used to drawing with a pen or a specific kind of pen, maybe draw a different pen or use try using paints for a while, or try to make stuff with crayons.
That actually I would highly recommend. If you've been drawing with pens and pencils and really finite tools for a long time, go draw with something that is almost random. A fat crayon or
paint bucket.
Yeah, you could go that far. Or get yourself a nice, really fat-headed Sharpie and see what you can do with it. Anything that's bigger than what you normally use. Or if you're the reverse and you like doing all your art with large things, try smaller things and seeing how well you can do them that way.
And I would probably, just to add on, because most times I try new things, for example, the end product isn't amazing because it's a new thing. But just because when you're trying out, like with, say, the Sharpie or whatever, if the end product isn't to your standards, that's fine. I mean, no one's good immediately, and you have to keep trying regardless.
Yeah, being instantly good with any tool is impossible. Even geniuses are not good at absolutely everything they do the first time.
There's been a lot of times where people have asked for tips, and it's like, sure, I'm happy to, offer what I can. I'm not, proficient at everything, but what else? I can try. And it seems the biggest thing with so many people is, well, I'm not automatically good, so I'm just going to stop. It's like, no, you can't. You have to keep going.
Look, when I first started playing saxophone, I sucked ass. I was fucking horrible. And
I got a better one. First time you start playing guitar, what's the song we all learn? Dan, 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 dan. Every beginning guitar player knows that. Every single beginning guitar player knows that riff.
That or Wonderwall.
Oh, God. I did not, thankfully.
You know what was really terrible, though, was when I first started learning how to use vibrato saxophone. Because, yeah, if you've ever heard anyone learning vibrato, it's terrible because you have to just very slowly bend the pitch. You have to go new.
Yeah,
You have to gradually build yourself up, and it sounds horrible.
I think the only thing I can think that would be any way vaguely more horrible would be just anyone trying to play a piccolo.
Oh God! No! Oboe.
Oh no!
Yes.
How about this one? Recorder.
Oh fuck! It's a recorder, even an instrument that's.
It is, unfortunately,
listenable.
it's part of it.
I know it is, but I mean, is it really just an instrument that anyone can sound good on?
Well, people can sound good on the kazoo. Why can't they sound good on the recorder?
Well, I mean,
yeah, this kind of relates back to the whole can an artist, do you need good stuff to be a good artist? There's probably some dude out there who can play fucking Mozart on a recorder and make it sound beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are just certain instruments that I have an aversion to, and I'm not gonna list one because I know there are certain people in this group that would kick the shit out of me if I said a certain instrument. I'll say it comes from a certain country north of England.
Iceland.
No. Not quite.
What's north of England? I can't even remember. Spain.
Northland. It's Northland.
That's it, Northland.
Yeah, Northland. Yeah, Northland.
Well, I mean, I knew a guy who couldn't stand the sound of an electric guitar, and he doesn't know why, but it gave him headaches for no reason at all.
Yeah, it's just I don't get the obsession with this instrument. It's just I don't.
Because you can play what's the name of that song?
Amazing Grace?
No, it's a different one.
Forever.
No, it's usually played on a flute. And it's a really nice, really slow paced, really beautiful song. And I think one of the lines is "My heart goes on and on."
That fucking Celine Dion
Titanic.
song?
Yeah, My Heart Will Go On by the one from the Titanic. Are you talking about the one from the Titanic?
Maybe. Unfortunately,
that one?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
I'm looking it up. And unfortunately, the version I have in my head is a Hatsune Miku version of it, so it sounds.
Oh God!
And I got it from one of the games which I had on my PSP years and years and years ago, and it is one of the easiest songs on there.
When?
Okay.
It could be worse though. It could just be all sung in auto-tune. I don't know, like.
Oh yes, this song "My Heart Will Go On."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is from Titanic, or
yes,
yes.
Song.
Okay.
That's practically a meme at this point.
I'm putting the link in the Picardo chat just for the hell of it, and you'll know exactly which song I'm talking about. And it is mean the Japanese language. I mean an English-speaking Japanese person.
Oh, you mean English then?
Yes, English.
All your base belong to us. Oh crap! I fell asleep.
I thought that was Korean that
Nope.
line came from.
That was Japanese. Came from Japan, and
Oh god.
oh, even worse! Congratulations, you have completed a great game and proved the justice of our culture. Now go and rest our heroes. Yes. Or I no, legit, or even worse. There's a T-shirt. I guess they were selling in Japan, because you know how the Japanese, they have this thing for like just random English words being put in there just for aesthetics.
Uh-huh.
Well, it
Kind of
was
like
like
our
some
tattoos.
Yeah, well, this one was really fucked up, and I know no one in Japan actually noticed this, but it was a guy who had like a boombox, and he was like a b-boy or a rapper, and instead of saying rapping with two R's, it came out with rapping with one P. It came out R-A-P-I. Yes.
God.
Yes.
I only half feel sorry for him.
Well, I'm not sure many people in Japan would actually pick up. But that would just be terrible if they went over to like Australia or the US with that shirt.
See, now I think it would be funny if they'd have made that mistake with Parappa the Rapper.
Oh God. Parappa the Rapper.
Never played that game series, and I am so very happy for it.
It's all in the mind.
Yeah. But there is one anime that one of my friends had was watching, and it's weird because I think it's called World's End or something, or End of the World. It's, you know how anime titles, a lot of them are just really
strange.
In my opinion, excessively long titles.
Yes.
Which they can sort of get away with because their characters represent syllables rather than letters, so
it's shorter for them.
Right. So, well, oddly enough, instead of using English, they use French for aesthetic reasons. Like all the magazines, all the papers, anything with signs are all in French for some reason. So I've never seen anything like that in anime. Typically, it's been in English, but for some reason, this guy decided to use French.
Well, he wanted to break from the norm.
Esperanto.
You've seen one in Esperanto?
Yeah, there was one that they used, all of their background text was Esperanto.
What? They used an actual artificial. They used an artificial language.
Yes, and from people that speak it or know of it, at least, apparently a lot of the syntax was not entirely right.
Well, Esperanto is just a really fucking weird language because it's basically, from what I can understand, all the major European languages kind of condensed into one. I don't know a great deal about it. All I know is it's not easy to learn, and it's
tried once. It didn't work.
It's totally artificial. There's nothing natural about Esperanto because it's a completely constructed language.
Yeah, well, in theory, that should make it easier to learn.
You would think, but I've heard a lot of people. No, I've heard a lot of people say it's difficult.
Well, as someone who's learning Russian, I can imagine it would be complicated because one of the things I'm trying to get used to right now are what do they call them? They're kind of like having a tense on a word, but there are 5 different versions of a possessive.
Conjugation? Is that
What?
Noun cases? Are you talking about for nouns?
Cases, yes, cases.
Okay, yes. That's something you don't get. You have something similar to that. Well, actually, you don't.
Or here's another good one: the fact that anytime you're using a plural in a Russian phrase, even the verbs are plural.
Plural. You mean the verbs are just conjugated differently?
Yes, as
So,
in
like
okay.
English.
Okay,
If I were
that's
to say I am eating, I'd say what is it? EMS, I think. And then if I were to say we are eating instead of and I don't know the word for we yet. But if I were, or better yet, if I were to say they are eating, it would be oni idiot. Instead of the word est for eat, it turns into idiot for they are eating, but it's a plural word.
Oh, yeah, that's well, okay. I speak Spanish, and because Spanish comes from Latin, Latin was the same way. Basically, you would, in fact, actually, Spanish has, well, not for Enigma, it wouldn't, because Mexicans don't know how to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
They only use 5 because they're silly. In Spanish, the type I use, which is Castilian, they have 6 different ways you can conjugate a verb based on the there's I, there's you singular informal, tú. There's you singular formal, usted. There's we, nosotros. There's and this one's pretty much only in Spain. There's you plural, like you all or y'all, or whatever. Informal, which is vosotros, and then there's you
Ustedes.
guys, yeah, ustedes, or ellos, which is they, and also usted, which is the singular formal version of you, also shares the same type of conjugation as he or she.
Or here's another kind of fun example. In Russian, the word for he is on. The word, or not on, but on, because O and A have the same sound for whatever reason. But anyways, he is on, she is ana, and they are ani. So I thought, so I would think that you've got on, you've got ana, and then you've got ani. So it's kind of confusing. You're expecting a plural for a difference between male and female, but they don't.
That's interesting because in Spanish, Spanish is a purely gendered language. Unlike Romanian, which is the only Romance language that still retains the neuter case.
The what?
The neuter case. That means okay, in Latin there were 3 types of genders. There were in nouns. There was male, female, and neuter, or neutral, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Every Romance language except Romanian has lost the neuter case, meaning that all the nouns in Romance languages.
That's not true. There is still a gender difference in speech if you go to Israel.
I said Romance language.
It is a Romance language.
Hebrew's a Semitic language. So.
Is it?
Yeah, it's in the same.
Okay.
It's in the same language family as Arabic.
Oh, okay.
Also, I have a French friend, and he tells me that they have no neutral words for things. Everything is either a he or a she, depending on set context already.
Yeah, which, like I said, every Romance language except Romanian has lost a neuter case that was in Latin. And another thing is Romanian's also the only Romance language that still has the noun case that I had talked about a few minutes ago. So, where depending on how you use the noun in a sentence will change how it's spelled and pronounced. So.
Oh, and by the way, for our viewers, we're not actually as smart as we sound like we are.
Yeah, welcome to the art stream.
Welcome to the Smartass cast.
Pretty much, yeah.
Still on the question that ends, how big is your dick? And we're talking about noun cases.
Oh god, shit. Well, you know what?
I figured we'd move on from it because we don't have any other topics. And we're actually like 9 minutes from the end of the cast, so it doesn't really matter.
Wee.
I suppose you could all sort of show off your drawings, because we've been watching you do them all.
Yeah, I am curious. What are you drawing, Andrew?
Yeah.
Kind of a landscape type thing. Just give me a few minutes and I'll have it fully ready.
It looks really nice.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very much.
It's like a character's just looking off.
A little wistful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Also, is there like some sort of shining aura coming down from Cantrell?
It might be. It's definitely a shining something or other. Dang it.
I mean,
Go back into place.
also,
Maybe-
what rock?
Raph,
What
maybe
rock-
it's a mega spell.
Oh.
Holy crap, those fingers are thick. Oops.
Yeah, they're like. It looks like a bee stung each finger.
The finger is bigger than the bat pony. It's thicker.
Is that Anon Philly bat? Anon bat.
A non-bat.
I have no
A
idea.
non-bat.
I thought it was Stella for a second. I was gonna ask earlier.
No, if it was Stella, she would be cursing and like trying to.
She'd be biting his finger, not hugging
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
it. Like, let me go, bitch.
That, or she'd be trying to fuck it.
Oh.
And
I mean,
using her pelvis, she would break your finger.
Wouldn't you feel uncomfortable if a small, adorable bat pony was like humping at you and you were like, no, it's too cute for sexual. Please stop.
Well,
Way too small for sexual.
yeah, man. Well, not for Nick.
Oh, ouch.
Hey, man, hey, look, that just means that she's for him.
Yeet.
It won't fit.
This line of conversation disturbs me.
Like, I'm looking at this red panda right here eating SpaghettiOs. And then
yeah.
you're fucking. It's Chef Boyardee.
So,
Chef Bear
Chef
RD. 'cause he's a
Boyardee.
panda.
Chef Boyardee.
Parody. Is that like the
No,
is that
it's
the Brit version?
It's Chef Bear P RP.
It's the
RB, I mean.
off-brand version.
RP,
Lot
Red
cheaper.
Panda.
Oh, good. So it's like a really shitty Chinese version.
It includes real red panda in every serving.
And also, it has some lead in it too.
And if you read the if you read the can, it says it's made from dog with 2 G's.
Oh God, made from dog, as in Snoop Dogg. So if it's made from Snoop Dogg, we'll get you high if you eat it.
Oh God.
You've heard of weed
Yeah.
brownies. Here comes weed spaghetti.
Well,
We
No,
won't pay.
I've read somewhere that Snoop Dogg smokes like dozens of blunts a day. Or
Has he built up a tolerance now to the point where it doesn't affect him anymore? And what's the point?
Yeah, probably.
You build up a tolerance, and then you build up a necessity.
You know,
That's true,
I wouldn't be surprised if Snoop Dogg's somehow addicted.
I mean, I guess when you have all that money, what else are you going to spend it on?
Well,
He
I
could
mean,
try to run for president. I mean, he would have done better than the last 4.
Isn't Kanye running for president? Like
oh
unironically?
God, you know, probably. I mean, but you know what?
Hey,
Kanye-
Rosie O'Donnell's on the ballot too, so I wouldn't be surprised.
No
Look,
more celebrities, please.
Look, I'm just gonna say this. Kanye West, considering this guy literally compared himself to Jesus Christ and thinks he's God's gift to the world, and he's the second coming of Christ, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually ran for president. Like, I mean, he would bar none be the most egotistical, narcissistic asshole to be president.
I think we're not quite there yet, but we're close to making this a political discussion.
It already went into kind of political, really.
It's borderline. I'm just gonna say that.
Which is exactly why you came here, folks. We hope you had a nice time.
Good, because I really have to go to the bathroom.
Like we care if you're taking a shit. You are a shit. Go.
Okay, I'll leave. I'll leave right now because I've been, all right. Alto, it's been nice meeting you. Can you send me my OC drawing later?
I shall.
Thank you. Thank you. Good
All
meeting
right.
you. I've got to go
same.
now. I've got to drop some friends over at the pool.
Oh God.
What friends do you have?
He's turds.
Pool closed due to AIDS.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Enigma.
See you.
God.
Oh my God.
What a perfect ending.
Yeah, try not to die on that.
Hey, if I do, it will have been a long time coming, so.
Is that
Oh, God.
the ending on
I'm
Quality.
assuming.
Professional.
We still got like 2 more minutes to bullshit.
So yeah,
Hey,
ball
what's
hair.
our topic? Oh.
What is that topic?
Also, I just looked at the actual stream for the first time in a while.
Uh-huh.
Our drawings are excellent. I love them.
They are.
Ravage, what is the dancing with jig in the lower right corner of your screen?
I was there last week as well.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's Lyra and Blackjack.
It's actually quite
Yep.
useful.
Blackjack got her own booth.
I mean, I feel like they add something to the.
Rav, I'm curious, is Blackjack your waifu or something?
Yep.
There you go.
Hey, I
Yeah.
got no shame, man. She
Alright.
is my favorite character of all time. For if you can actually stick with the 1.5 million words, the story is really worth it.
Yeah, I know. You guys
told us
turned
about
Sadcast. You guys turned Sadcast into Fallout Equestria cast. That's why, and I wasn't sure if you guys would actually appear on the BronyCon recap. I just left the question, Rav, what is Fallout Equestria?
BronyCon. Don't you mean BabsCon?
No, BronyCon, because that's when, because you and Enigma couldn't make it to BabsCon, nor could I. Or no, I'm sorry, not BabsCon, BronyCon.
Okay, no, I get it now. I get it now. The joke didn't go over my head. It went above and then came down and smacked me. Anyways. I guess that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you all for coming and seeing us be absolute shitlords. Not just to you, but to each other.
Yeah.
And thank you, Alto, for coming on. This has been absolutely delightful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for including me. Like this was fun. I was nervous. But...
Yeah, no, we're basically a live forum.
Yeah.
Too bad.
For what it's worth, you brought up the quality of this cast. I could tell just by looking at your artwork.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
your contributions to the topics were insightful.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried to talk. Some topics went beyond me, but
You've been our first guest to live stream as well, which is great.
oh,
Yeah.
That's a tremendous honor, maybe.
It is. Yeah,
It's like a waste
yeah.
of
Everybody
everything.
else had technical difficulties or didn't like.
So basically, they're a
other
bunch of
people watching.
pansies.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
You did just say
They didn't have the
stop to declare,
balls.
though, so look out.
They didn't have the balls or the ball hair.
Or it's just their computer lacked the hair.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. This has been our special guest and a regular cast, Alex _
Goodbye.
Alto,
Thank you for joining us.
Andrew CK,
Keep drawing. Never stop drawing.
Enigma's not here, the shitlord, so
We can make up something for him.
I like dragon tits. There you go. All right, and Montana de Tacos.
don't do drugs, kids, but please buy them from me.
Brilliant.
And this has been your host, Ravage. We hope you all have a good night. And yeah, come see us next week. Show. Support our Patreons and all that.
Yeah,
Shell,
support the
Yellow
Patreon of the horse bale eating